Hello, I warmly welcome everyone to this AMaGA Meet-Up. I'm fortunate to be speaking to you today from the beautiful Northern Rivers region of New South Wales. I'm on the land of the Bundjalung Nation. At the outset, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional owners and custodians of the land from wherever we happen to be today. As National President, I welcome you to the AMaGA Meet-Up. This is the first time we've had a meeting like this, a real mix of real and virtual gatherings, which I guess makes it our world premiere. We've gathered together in this hybrid fashion as people who are passionate about the work we do in inspiring Australia's cultural life through working in our museums, galleries, and other cultural places. As members and supporters of AMaGA, we see every day what impact we have on the lives of those we engage with. I'm pleased to report that our organisation, AMaGA, is doing well in spite of the headwinds that we all have faced this year. I'm grateful to the members of the National Council and the state and territory branches and the national networks for their support. I'm grateful to Alex Marsden, our National Director, for her leadership and the way we have all worked together. We are confident that we will enter the new year with our plans revised and our finances secure, ready to shape the future, no matter what 2021 throws at us. We are strong because our state and territory branches are active locally, and we have a National Council which is determined to act as a national organisation. Our strength means that our members can reap the benefits of their membership, and in turn their audiences can be inspired and their lives enhanced. We can now easily cross borders virtually, especially with the assistance of our sponsors, ARNet, who provide our platform for our teleconferencing services, which has been a boon to meetings and in the delivery of our professional development program. Thanks, Adam Bell, and please thank your colleagues. We are very grateful for your support. To gain support from governments, we increasingly have to make arguments about the economic benefit we bring. At this time in history, it seems that we are all working for the economy. I know that the economy is important, but one day I live in hope that the economy can work for us. Not only for us, but for the horizon generations, those whose lives have just begun and will inherit, we hope, a culturally rich future. Collecting, preserving, documenting, and engaging with culture is a long game, longer than any election cycle. AMaGA is advocating relentlessly on your behalf. We are gathered today to celebrate. We want to acknowledge the outstanding work of our colleagues. Today is the day of the MAGNAs. This is our Oscar ceremony. This is where our work is judged by our peers and the winners can take a bow. If you're accepting an award virtually, do not bow too vigorously. You may damage your screen. We are fortunate today to have as our speaker one of our sector's superstars, Liz-Anne McGregor. Liz-Anne is the director of the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney. The MCA, under her leadership, is a thriving public gallery with artists at its heart. She is known for her determination and tenacious work ethic. What she is most passionate about is linking artists with audiences. Liz-Anne's influence goes beyond her own museum. She has recently been appointed as chair of the federal government's Creative Economy Task Force. Liz-Anne, we wish you well with this important work. Liz-Anne, on our Night of Nights, we confidently hand over to you and look forward to hearing what you have to say. It is my pleasure to introduce, from Clan McGregor, Liz-Anne. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. And I too would like to acknowledge that I'm sitting tonight on Gadigal land and pay my respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And I'm also sitting in front of one of the great Australian artists, Rosalie Gascoigne. So with that, I would always want to acknowledge artists and of course pay my respects to elders past, present and future. When Alex asked me to say a few words tonight, I cast my mind back over the last few months and I remembered a moment that was just pre-COVID, when I sat in this very room with some colleagues from the Blue Mountains, and we were actually discussing another crisis, the bushfire crisis, because we had reached out to the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre to find out whether there was a possibility of a collaboration between the MCA and the centre, as a result of some work that we undertook in Victoria after the terrible fires there so many years ago, when we sent a team of our artist educators to work in the areas that had been most affected by the bushfires. As we sat around the table and discussed our passion, which is how we could work with artists to help young people in particular overcome the trauma of living through those terrible days last summer, little did we realize that less than a month later, we'd be talking about a very different crisis. I'm sorry to say, and it is true, I think, of many places, that sadly that bushfire initiative very quickly got pushed to the back of our minds as we began to consider the implications of an even bigger crisis, if I can say that, a worldwide crisis that would affect so many of us and which would result, in fact, in something I never expected to see in my career, which is the closure of the museum. That was a terrible day when we actually had to accept that this disease, this virus, was not going to go away without drastic action. I had been on the front of house duty, as I do from time to time, just the week before. In fact, I was on duty the day the Ruby Princess came in. And you can imagine the aftermath of that as we gradually realized exactly the implications of what happened that day when all those passengers came off, many of them affected with COVID. We quickly examined our CCTVs to make sure that nobody had actually come in the museum and were able to reassure our increasingly nervous staff. So many new realities, so many new things to deal with. But at the heart of it, right from the beginning, I realized that we needed to work even more closely with our artists if we were to stand any chance of getting through. The famous phrase, pivoting to the digital, encouraging our artist educators and our wonderful team in our Creative Learning Centre to think about all these amazing programs that they've been presenting in our National Centre for Creative Learning, and like museums across the world, putting them online. In our case, a very particular concern, as with many museums, to reach those that we are particularly concerned about, the vulnerable, those who don't have the opportunities. Our art and dementia program, for example, had to be suspended. Our program for the under fives, and of course, our many programs for young people and children with special needs. And indeed our teenagers program, which regularly welcomes 800 plus young people to the museum on a Sunday night. None of that to happen. I'm pleased to say that along with colleagues across the world and indeed in this country, we successfully pivoted to the digital. But then we learned another lesson. I happened to be chatting to one of my colleagues about some of our work with Western Sydney schools and discovered to my alarm that 40% of the children in primary schools in Western Sydney do not have access to the internet. So there we were, busy putting all these programs online and trying to help teachers to resource in the ways that they normally would interact with us in a slightly different way, only to discover that it was excluding very large numbers of children. Again, we were very fortunate. We began to think of how could we deliver things in an analog way. It seems counterintuitive, but we realized there was such a need. And my wonderful team began to develop a series of parcels that they could deliver, send out to families if they contacted us with all kinds of wonderful ideas for creative activities. And I made a phone call, an unusual phone call, to the editor of the Daily Telegraph, who I happen to know is married to an art teacher. And I asked him whether the Telegraph was doing anything and could we possibly include creative activities in the Daily Telegraph. That was duly rolled out, not just in the Telegraph, but right across the country. And so we were able to feel at least we were making an attempt to reach young people, families, and children with fantastic creative ideas within the pages of the newspaper that they could do themselves. So that was then, and now we're back open again. So what now? My favorite phrase at the moment is the return to the real, because I think our analog experience showed as well just how grateful people are when there is real contact. There are real things to touch, there are objects, there are things to play with, there are things to be creative with. Because after all, that is what museums and galleries are about. Somebody in government said to me halfway through the crisis, with all this amazing digital stuff, maybe we can just get rid of the museums. Do you think we really need them? I think he was joking, but you never know. And I quickly said I thought it was the opposite. I have absolutely no doubt that all this incredible digital content has simply led to people wanting to encounter works of art and work with artists for real and not just in the digital realm. There's no doubt that we will, as museums, have to adapt to what we are calling the hybrid museum. How might all the lessons we've learned from COVID to take those forward? How many more people we reach? Instead of an art bar for 150 people here at the museum, we had over 1,000 people online. That is fantastic. That's a new audience for artists. And that's what's very important about what we've learned. But what really is the future for our museums? Some of you will know I've just been curating myself. I put on the Lindy Lee show that's currently on. And talking to Lindy, one of her favorite analogies from Zen Buddhism is the idea of the net of Indra. And I was asked to write something recently about what I thought the museum of the future should be. And I said we should think of museums as those crystals at those connection points of the net of Indra, which in Zen Buddhism is the large net that is thrown over the world. And at each intersection, there's a crystal. Each museum should be a crystal, connecting with others and with communities across the world. And if you remove one of those, the whole thing collapses. For me, museums and galleries, and indeed what they can do with artists, are going to be even more important as we come through. I'm sure many of you listening to this will know that I've been arguing very hard for an arts-led recovery. And yes, Robin, we do need to help the economy to recover, because if people don't feel confident and jobs give people confidence, then we will not see a return to the kinds of engagements that museums across the world have had with their audiences. I think regional tourism in particular is somewhere museums and galleries can contribute to. But then there's mental health. Let's go back to my conversation with the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre. How can artists, museums and galleries help young people in particular, but everybody who's been suffering and will continue to suffer so badly from this terrible pandemic? And there's also the skills of the future. One of the things that we've learned over the past few years in working so closely with our team of artist educators is that the way they work is precisely what young people are going to need to cope with the world of work. The New South Wales Education Department, for example, has written a book on education in the future in the digital future, when many jobs will be done by robots. And they've identified the skills of the future as, guess what? Creativity, collaboration, empathy, etc. These are the skills that artists can teach us. And to be able to work in museums and galleries and trial these different ways of working with different groups. I've mentioned already art and dementia and early learning at the two ends of the spectrum, but everybody in between can benefit from working with artists and learning creative skills. I don't believe that everyone can be an artist, but I do believe that everyone can be creative. I do think artists have skills and ideas and ways of looking at the world that set themselves apart, and that we who work in museums and galleries benefit enormously from listening to what they have to say about how they see the world. Major problems like climate change, who better to tell us how to solve those than artists? Last year, I had a very interesting conversation with a scientist who turned out to be one of those scientists who was actually monitoring the CO2 in the atmosphere for NASA. He knows exactly what is happening out there. And he said to me, scientists have failed. They have failed to get across their message. I wonder if artists could be more successful. What can we do to promote the work that artists are doing to draw attention to climate change? I've just been judging a competition in a regional gallery, and I'm so struck by the extraordinary diversity of ways in which artists can depict issues like climate change. And I have no doubt that if we work more closely with artists, we will be able to address small and big issues of the future. So I see museums and galleries as centres where this kind of artistic work can come together and really, we can really work together to create an incredibly powerful story, because storytelling is what we're all about. Robin just dobbed me in as having taken over the famous task force, or perhaps not so famous task force yet. And I see this as a very positive move by the federal government. And I think it's incredibly important that as a sector, the arts sector more widely I'm talking about, not just the museums and galleries sector, the arts sector works together to come together to hone some key messages that we can perhaps finally be able to put out there to persuade not just the politicians, but those people who are still skeptical about why you need to fund museums, galleries, and the arts more generally. Because there are still a lot of people out there, and there is still a lot of resistance. There is, however, as the task force has discovered, a huge amount of research into the benefits of the arts, whether it's in this country or the UK or America or anywhere else. We have a lot of material to draw on, so I don't think the case, being able to give the case is the problem. The problem is how we communicate it and how we do it together as a sector. I'd like to commend Alex and the team at AMaGA for all the work they've been doing advocating in the political sphere, and those of you who've made submissions to the current parliamentary inquiry for the arts, which I actually think is another very encouraging sign that perhaps our sector will be taken seriously. But I would also urge you that it's not about what we say that matters, it's about what the people who are affected by what we do say. So rather than me writing to the government, I was able to persuade John Goh, who's the principal of Maryland's East in Western Sydney, and Andrew Penn at Telstra, and the Tourism and Transport Forum, and the Committee for Sydney, and all these other bodies who do get listened to traditionally more than the arts people, to be able to advocate on our behalf. I think advocacy is one of the most critical things we will have to do as we emerge from COVID. We need more resources, and we know that we can spend those resources in ways that will have immeasurable benefits. Not just to us, but to wider society, not just to a small group of artists, but to people generally, people from all walks of life. Those of you who know me well will know that I began my career driving an art bus around Scotland. And that was what fired my passion for bringing people together with art and artists. One of the most fun things I did was to decide to take artists with me on the bus to talk about their work, and to introduce them to people, to get rid of sometimes the strange perceptions that people had and continue to have about what art is and what artists do. I think this breaking down of barriers is one of the most important things that we can all do. And we're all very good at it. I have no doubt that tonight there are going to be some incredible award winners showing exactly the kinds of things I'm talking about. So we all need to get with the program. We all need to have our mantras. We all need to repeat the same things over and over again. And I'm particularly calling on our regional galleries and museums, because I really believe that you are the backbone of interesting things that happen in regional towns. I've traveled extensively around the country, and I know when I go to regional towns, the warmth that you get from people talking about their local gallery. And I don't think we promote that well enough. We know there aren't enough resources, but I think we need to get those people in those communities telling their politicians just how important their local facilities are. So for me, the regional, the local is incredibly important, even though here I am sitting at Circular Quay in the, if you like, the grandstand seat for museums, but also, of course, one of the most important sites in Australia as the site of first contact, and one of the most important places for us to acknowledge and do more in relation to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture. So my message to you tonight is be proud of what you're doing. There is incredible support out there. Don't be ground down by feeling that maybe the politicians aren't listening as much as they should be, because believe you me, we are all working very hard on that one. And I think both at a state level, we have some incredibly supportive politicians, and indeed at a federal level. And we just need to find ways to make our arguments even stronger than they are at the moment. The net of Indra, to finish, is a great analogy because it says that we all matter. And why we matter is because we are about stories. We matter because we connect with each other. And what is more important as we come out of COVID? Moving beyond the economy, what matters is connections between us as human beings and what our contribution to the world can be. So I leave you tonight with a note of optimism. Although it's been a really terrible year, and I'm sure there's going to be endless books written about it, I think our moment may have arrived and we have to seize it. Congratulations to all the winners and everybody in the sector tonight. I think we have a lot to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth Ann, for that wonderful presentation, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us and our members today. My name's Craig Middleton, and I'm a curator at the National Museum of Australia and a proud Australian Museums and Galleries Association member. I'm going to be here with you tonight to present the MAGNA Awards for 2020. 2020 heralds the 10th year of the Museums and Galleries National Awards. The MAGNAs intend to encourage the continuous improvement and development of Australian museums and galleries, inspire and recognise best practice and innovation in the collecting sector, and enhance the profile of museums and galleries in local and wider communities. Entries to the awards come from the smallest community museums to the largest national institution in the areas of exhibitions, learning and engagement, research, and Indigenous projects. We advise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers that this presentation may contain images or names of people who have passed away. AMaGA is grateful to our generous sponsors, Panasonic, who have been sponsoring the MAGNAs since 2017. Panasonic's cutting-edge laser projection technology for museums and galleries creates stunning visual displays and immersive experiences for visitors. The MAGNA categories are judged by panels of experienced museum and gallery workers who volunteer their time and expertise. Like so much of what AMaGA does, from National Council to organising branch networking breakfasts, these awards could not have been possible without volunteers who have given us their time, effort, dedication, and so much more to make this program a success. The call for entries was extended this year to accommodate the crazy circumstances we all find ourselves in, working from home, lockdowns, isolation. The result was a record number of entries to the 2020 MAGNAs. Thank you everyone who made the time and effort to coordinate and submit your wonderful entries from your kitchen tables and home offices. The not so short shortlist illustrates the high standard of entries. A quick reminder of the entry levels. Each category is split into levels depending on the project's operating budget. This year we invited winners to submit a short acceptance video in which they highlight key parts of their projects and celebrate the achievements of their teams. The first category is Indigenous Project or Keeping Place. The Level 1 winner is Mossman Art Gallery and their project, 3 Views. Mossman Art Gallery continue to forge new ground and take opportunities to explore histories and perspectives in compelling and inclusive ways, creating big impacts on a small budget.
Mossman Art Gallery is thrilled to be the recipient of a 2020 MAGNA Award for its 3 Views project. 3 Views was set at Middlehead at the entrance of Sydney Harbour, a place that witnessed the slow invasion of a continent, and it was set as a site-specific project within the former military fortifications on that spot. We worked with Indigenous curator John Mundine OAM and artist Carla Dickens, Jason Wing and Black Douglas to respond to the colonisation and the process of colonisation, touching on themes of the environment, on death and destruction, on resistance and on the remarking of the land. I want to thank our supporters of the project and partners, Mossman Council, Mossman Reconciliation, Sydney Festival and the National Parks and Wildlife Services New South Wales.
My name is John Mundine, and as the curator of 3 Views, 3 Visions, I'd like to add my thanks to John Cheeseman, the director of the Mossman Art Gallery, to the Museum and Galleries Association of Australia for giving us this award, to the 3 artists, Carla Dickens, Adam Hill and Jason Wing. The exhibition comes out of a quote from the Caribbean post-colonial poet and intellectual Edouard Glissant. He talked about, in a time of binaries, of fixed positions, we must take a third path, a path that breaks these fixed positions, that integrates mind and spirit, man and nature, and that if we are to share the beauty of the world, we must remember the memory of the other. We must share and remember together. Thank you.
The Level 2 highly commended entries are from the Art Gallery of South Australia and the State Library of New South Wales. The Level 2 winner is the Bay Discovery Centre with their project Tayati Wangandi Gumanga. This is an incredibly sophisticated approach to decolonising the museum by recognising the presence and interaction of multiple voices.
The Te Wangandi Kumanka exhibition here at the Bay Discovery Centre is a great way for Aboriginal people and especially Kaurna people to have our voices heard. Talking about proclamation and the establishment of South Australia very early on, our people had lost their voice, lost the opportunity to share our knowledges and our culture. So this exhibition is about understanding the history of this country from an Aboriginal perspective.
And it's this checkered history that our children need to be told about, and I think this is the beginning of a long story and a good story for a lot of people on both sides.
The Kaurna Nation and the City of Holdfast Bay are honoured to accept this award together. Thank you to AMaGA for this recognition.
To have this opportunity to work together and the team that we've worked together, and I'd like to give special mentions to my 2 aunties, Auntie Lynette, Auntie Merle, and Julie and Marnie and other staff members, Jenny there, because you're doing it together. I think, you know, it's quite exciting.
Tiati is a reflection of the relationships built on the path to truth and the path of reconciliation.
On behalf of the City of Holdfast Bay, I thank Lynette Crocker, Mel Simpson and Jeffrey Newchurch for allowing us to participate in this exhibition. Thank you for entrusting us with your ideas, your voice and your truths, Natalia.
The National Gallery of Australia is highly commended in Level 3. The Level 3 winner is the Indigenous Arts Centre Alliance with their project Belonging, Contemporary Indigenous Art from Far North Queensland. This project reveals untold stories and perspectives of North Queensland Indigenous culture through art. It exceeds current museum practices of ICIP, embraces multimedia, celebrates the connections with diverse country, and successfully secured partnerships with major cultural institutions leading to potential new projects.
G'day everybody, my name's Phil Rist. I am the President of the Indigenous Arts Centres Alliance in Far North Queensland. I'm also attached to the Girrigan Aboriginal Corporation, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just so proud and honoured and happy to be the recipient on behalf of all our art centres in IACA, the MAGNA Award for the Indigenous Award. So, and I just want to acknowledge the hard work that staff have put in, the staff of the Indigenous Arts Centres Alliance, the art centre managers, the artists themselves, and the tremendous effort that was put forward collectively from all those guys. Belonging, you know, it's a really personal, it can be a really personal exhibition because you're asking people how they feel about country, their association, their connection with country, and when you frame that in a belonging, you get a wonderful array of people's sense of belonging to country and to themselves and each other as family. So I'm really honoured to accept this award on behalf of IACA and everybody, and a big congratulations to all concerned.
The next category is permanent exhibition or gallery fit out. The Level 1 highly commended entry is the Friends of Donnelly Village Museum. The Level 2 highly commended entry is Mandurah Community Museum Courtroom Gallery. The Level 2 winner is the Shire of West Arthur with their project Betty Brown Historical Centre. The approach of this museum has been considered and aligned to best museum practice. It is a place that is aware of learning styles, display methodology, and aesthetics of a high standard. It is also obvious that it strives to build on their experience and knowledge to develop their centre within their budgetary constraints.
Hi, my name's Karen Cheer and I'm Project Manager and Curator of the Betty Brown Historical Centre.
On behalf of the Shire of West Arthur, I'd like to thank you for this award. The development of the Betty Brown Historical Centre was made possible because of the vision of one elderly lady, Betty, who left some money to the Shire to build a museum. We took inspiration from her and developed a museum that celebrated women and the contribution they've made to rural communities in WA. We're only a very small shire, think 900 people in total, with only 200 in the main town. So we had to come up with a way of developing a museum that could be managed without staff, but was modern enough to draw people into town. We had no one on staff with any expertise in museum building and curation, so we learnt on the job. We worked collaboratively with the amazing women at Creative Spaces to come up with our final product, which is modern, beautiful and reflects our community. We struggled to find people to help us contribute to the Aboriginal history in the centre, and this is something we'll continue to work on and include, giving us an opportunity to collect more of our history. I love that the space has been developed through the contributions from the community, from oral histories which have been used to create the audio throughout the centre, to personal items and photographs, and to the stories of the women featured in the centre. I also love how it has generated an interest in history in the area and drawn people back to town.
For me, the moment that made it all that much more special was when I played some audio for a lady researching her family history. She was able to listen to someone describing her great-grandmother in great detail from the 1930s, from her hairstyle to the dresses that she wore and to her quiet manner. This lady burst into tears on the spot, and for me that showed how important these kind of places are in a community. So thank you for acknowledging the Betty Brown Historical Centre with this award, and thank you to all of those that contributed to the centre, especially Betty.
The Level 3 winner is the Tweed Regional Museum with their project Land, Life, Culture. It is fantastic to see that this project has facilitated stronger relationships with the Indigenous communities of the area. It is also clear to see the opportunity to collaboratively develop rich content and interpretation of Indigenous histories of the area has been fully explored and realised.
Thank you from all of us here at the Tweed Regional Museum for this award. It's been in the works since we opened this refurbished museum at Moolumbar in 2014, but it took us until 2018 for all the planets to align and for the people and the funding and all of the other relationships that have made this project possible to come together. New South Wales Government support, our partner historical societies and friends and some passionate locals have all enabled us to do justice to the scale and significance of this story. The project has been exciting, challenging, inspiring, all at the same time, most of the time. It has been highly collaborative with all of the challenges and amazing outcomes that brings. We've talked, we've planned, we've gathered, and when I say we gathered, we really gathered. We recorded and transcribed and edited 20+ video interviews, gathered many hours of additional footage. We dug dirt, we gathered and broke rocks, we pressed specimens, we translated complex specialist knowledge into the magic 120 words. But most importantly, we built relationships and understanding and trust, which continues to grow and inform how we work. In the end, we think, and this award helps us to believe, that we succeeded in delivering something really special. We measure the success of this project by the fact that for all of those involved, expectations have been exceeded. Local Bundjalung community members have taken ownership of land life culture. Our colleagues working in the Council's Biodiversity and Threatened Species program are amazed at the outcome, and our visitors tell us they gain a new understanding of this extraordinary cultural landscape. The things that we've learned through this project have influenced the way we go about building the collection and how we do exhibitions. And this award is truly the icing on the cake, and we thank you very much for it.
The Level 4 highly commended is the Shire of Manjimup's Power Up Electricity Museum. The Level 4 winners are the Australian Sports Museum Refresh, a great and timely project to create a quantum shift for this iconic museum for its future operations.
Hi everyone, I'm Jed Smith from the Australian Sports Museum at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Thank you so much for this award, which I'm delighted to accept on behalf of the many, many talented people who helped us create this project and get it over the line. We spent at least 8 years planning the project and ultimately then building the museum, which opened to the public on the 29th of February this year. Because of COVID, we closed within 2 weeks. and we haven't opened again since. So it's been a tough year for us, as it has for many of you as well, but this award helps to sweeten that blow a little bit. A project of this size and complexity obviously was an enormous team effort, and so many people were involved. However, I would like to just acknowledge two people, particularly for their role. First of all, Helen Walpole, our curator, who acted as creative director for the project, and who turned our shared vision for a museum that looks at Australia and Australian life through the lens of sport into a wonderful reality. She was also responsible for creating Fatso, the fat-arsed wombat, an enormous sculpture that is taken from the mascot that Roy and HG used in their Sydney 2000 Olympic coverage. I'd also like to acknowledge Paul Broadhurst from Broadcast Museum Design, who took our original museum, the National Sports Museum, and totally changed the space to create something so magical and so different that's going to give our visitors so much more than the previous iteration. I'd also like to acknowledge the State Government of Victoria, who've been fantastic supporters of the project all the way through, as well as the committee of the Melbourne Cricket Club, who've been behind the whole thing from the very beginning. The museum now features almost 100 different sports from all around the country. It now features 50-50 coverage of male and female athletes, and it also features this wonderful, innocent looking little sweatband, which all of our visitors get, which unlocks all sorts of interactive treasures as you go through the museum. We're really proud of our new museum and we love it, and we're delighted that you do too. Thank you very much.
And Sydney Living Museum's Hyde Park Barracks renewal. This project takes important steps in addressing generational trauma and impacts of First Peoples and convict descendants on very contested ground.
Hi, I'm Beck Bushby, and on behalf of the Hyde Park Barracks Renewal Project Team and Sydney Living Museums, I want to say thank you for this incredible award. I want to recognise that Hyde Park Barracks exists on Gadigal country and the impact that this site has had more broadly on community. This is a World Heritage listed property in central Sydney. That presents a whole range of challenges, but it also presents incredible opportunity. And what we've done here with this project is to create a new visitor experience. It's an immersive experience. We want people to connect emotionally with the stories that we're telling and the impact that this property has had more broadly. The site is now fully accessible. We've integrated a lift into this building, which is no mean feat. You can imagine there's some challenges involved with that, but this is now an inclusive environment for people to experience the story of Hyde Park Barracks. I wanted to thank our partners, in particular local projects who are based in New York. They provided the creative direction for this new visitor experience and was an incredible collaboration between both Sydney Living Museums teams and local projects. What we've achieved here is pretty incredible. I guess all I can do now is invite you all to come and visit. This is something that we hope you're all going to enjoy. We've had some great feedback from visitors to date, and we just hope that many more people get to experience it over the coming months.
The next category is research. The highly commended entry in Level 1 is Pocket Possibilities, Free Space in Community, a tool for applying principles of Free Space 2018 to designing with Australian minority communities. The Level 1 winner is QUT and QUT Art Museum Visibility, artworks from the QUT Art Collection. This project explores the boundaries of accessibility, pushing definitions and perceptions into new realms.
Hi. I'm Janice Rieger and I'm from QUT, and I just wanted to thank you very much for this award. And so one of the really important takeaways was the importance of co-design. So again, including the various communities that you're working with. In this case, we were working with blind and low vision communities. We were also working a little bit with Vision Australia and some other Braille communities as well. And they really all came together to enhance our understanding of access and inclusion and allow us to really create a multi-sensorial visual arts exhibition that went beyond that kind of ocular-centric understanding of art. Hi, that's better. I just wanted to thank everyone for the recognition we got. It's really important for the blind and low vision community to be able to access art as well, especially when you take a painting like Catherine Parker's one, which takes you on a visual journey. And we were able to put that into a tactile replica, not just a 3D copy, but a tactile journey of how it feels when your hand goes through it. The same way that someone who will visually be looking at it feels like they're going on the journey too. It was a lot of great work. We got to meet a lot of lovely people, and a lot of these friendships have continued on. Thank you.
A highlight for me was the Makerspace and the exhibition tours and workshops that I facilitated with Sarah Bolton for school and community groups as well as individuals. In the Makerspace, participants could create their very own tactile artwork, utilising the process that was developed during the co-design workshop.
A big takeaway for me personally was researching and writing audio descriptions for artworks and thinking about how these can not only make art more accessible for the blind and low vision community, but can also encourage everyone to look a little closer and to see things differently.
It means a great deal for the QUT Art Museum to be acknowledged for the work that we've done on a visibility exhibition. We're always trying to challenge the ways that we approach what we do and how we do it. And opening up the collection to be experienced in new ways has been so beneficial for the staff and the audiences as well. Accessibility is embedded in everything that we do here, and when you visit the QUT Art Museum, there's always a new idea or a different way of looking at something.
The Level 2 highly commended entry is Talking About Stones, the Relational Museum and its Objects. The Level 2 winner is the Museum and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory, New Species of Rainbow Fishes from Northern Australia, Discovery through Collections-Based Research and Citizen Science. The outputs of this project have an extended reach, not only through traditional scientific journals, but into museum programming, citizen science, and the Atlas of Living Australia. It is unfortunate that in Australia, fundamental science has been cut back so much that little would happen without the involvement of citizen scientists. The project team assembled an impressive lineup of partners for this work.
Hi from tropical Darwin. I'm really honoured to be announced as the recipient of a 2020 MAGNA Award for our Rainbowfish Species Discovery project. This study was in collaboration with the Western Australian Museum, South Australian Museum, the University of Canberra, and citizen scientists who keep native fishes in their aquariums. It was also funded through an Australian Biological Resources Study grant. The new species of dwarf rainbowfish we described are an exciting addition to the fish fauna of Northern Australia. Collection-based taxonomic studies such as this one are vital to fully document the different animals and plants of the region to underpin effective conservation planning and management. The Magnet Fishes collection is unrivaled nationally and internationally in representing the species diversity of tropical Northern Australia. Thank you again for this very exciting award.
The next category is Interpretation, Learning and Audience Engagement. Highly commended entries in Level 1 are the State Library of New South Wales for Scout the Chatbot and Sydney Jewish Museum's online learning project. The Level 1 winner is Maitland Regional Art Gallery with their project Stories from Wonnarua Country. A powerful project with Aboriginal students leading their school's artistic response, building on their levels of awareness of cultural knowledge and identity, and exploring their experience of what it means to them to be living on Wonnarua country today.
My name is Emma Bilkey and I'm from Hunter Valley Grammar School.
My name is Clary Beach and I'm from Francis Greenway High School. I'm Alison Silva and I go to Woodby Public School.
My name is Emma and I'm from Wiradjuri country.
My name is Fadina Dixon.
I'm Estella and I come from Balula, that's in Northern Territory.
I'm Hazel and I'm from Maitland Community.
I'm Michelle Ryan, I'm from Francis Greenway High.
My name's Taylor and I'm from Maitland High and I'm Bundjalung.
Hi, I'm Wade and I'm from Tullamarine Public School.
I'm Monique Lee, I'm from Maitland High and I'm from Wiradjuri.
Our artwork was designed to connect to country and it was a tree-based artwork. The whole school decided to do it together.
And we collaborated with people from across the school, so from like the art faculty, Indigenous Student Council as well. We all came together and we created this artwork and we all chipped in our own ideas.
So we went to Biami's cave and learned about Biami and its history. And we came here and decided what we were going to do for our artwork.
We were all sitting down, we done our own separate board, and then later on after that we all done a bit of a bigger board that got to go up in.
The project was called Our Method and we did photographs of what makes us feel like we're home, what makes us feel special about the school.
So we had a project and it was like a circle with rocks in it and we got Indigenous and non-Indigenous people from our school to paint them. Then we did a dancing one at the river and it was really good to incorporate dancing into art.
We're just proud of how it turned out and we're proud to be representing the Junior ACG and the students that helped work on it and the positive feedback that we got from family and friends that came to see our exhibition.
It's very exciting that it won. We're very proud because it was hard making it, but in the end we did it. So it feels good to win the national award.
It feels pretty good because the whole school got to have a piece in it. And
it makes me really happy and proud.
It was just shocking, it's out of nowhere.
So I think it was very exciting for everyone involved and we were all very proud of it because it really did come together in the end, so we all worked very hard on it.
Yeah, pretty cool to see that kids that are our age can do wonderful pieces like that. It's just showing people our community and what we can do and our culture.
Level 2 highly commended entries are from the Art Gallery of Western Australia and the Art Gallery of New South Wales. The Level 2 winner is the Art Gallery of South Australia, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art in the classroom programs and resources. This program addresses a genuine issue for teachers, giving them the confidence to use Indigenous art in their classrooms. It is sensitively designed and, like many programs this year, was able to be successfully adapted to the COVID world. The Level 4 winner is Museums Victoria with their project Road to Zero Education Complex at Melbourne Museum. Some of our judges commented that this project leads the way with sustainable development goals.
Thanks everyone. Anne and I are stuck here in Melbourne, so we decided to make our own award. What do you think? I love it. Pretty good, huh? Thanks AMaGA for recognising this significant collaboration. Road to Zero is a rare example of two government organisations with seemingly disparate remits, the Transport Accident Commission and Museums Victoria, coming together to create something truly extraordinary.
Our aim was to build a road safety exhibition and learning space that would be engaging for young people and the Victorian community. We really wanted to create an experience that will connect with people and make them think about how we can all work together to eliminate road trauma. We at the TAC felt that the best way of achieving this was to partner with an organisation of the calibre of Museums Victoria. But our task wasn't without its challenges. Firstly, we had to get teenagers to want to come to the museum, and secondly, And most importantly, we had to get them interested in road safety.
So we have created rich contemporary learning environments and programming that has driven judicious use of digital technologies to inspire and connect with our audience. Students deeply engage with the content in various modes, from self-led discovery right through to collaborative creation. The learning spaces and exhibition, skilled facilitation team, and authentic content honour these young people as mature and independent thinkers, enabling them to make informed decisions. We transformed underutilised space to attract an underrepresented education cohort to Melbourne Museum and built knowledge, networks and technical capacity along the way.
I think one of the main reasons for our success was that the creation of Road to Zero was a collaborative process that involved a number of road safety experts, as well as a team of teachers and hundreds of Victorian students. We are really pleased that the Road to Zero is a space that is engaging and open to all people, that it generates learning and also creates motivation for people to use our roads more safely.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everyone.
The final category is temporary and travelling exhibition. The Level 1 highly commended entry is Logan Art Gallery's Our Stories and Designs. The Level 1 winner is the Hertzville Museum and Gallery with their exhibition School Days. This project brought many community people together with a compelling narrative, School Days, a multidisciplinary approach and simple multisensory and interactive elements obviously engage people to share their memories and current experiences of school across the generations.
Hello from Biddigal Country. Hertzville Museum and Gallery is so excited to accept the MAGNA Award for our School Days exhibition. Curated by Dr. Birgit Harman, this exhibition explored memories of school experiences through the local lens of our community. One of our strengths here at Hertzville Museum and Gallery is our community co-curation of our shows. With School Days, we wanted to capture the strongest memories from our community members. The games they played at school, how the classroom looked, what happened when they were naughty, and the all-important topic of school milk. The thing we did a little differently this time was to create a multisensory experience, inviting visitors to explore via touch, taste, sound, smell and sight. We produced a soundscape with Waniora Road School, which is a school that caters for secondary students with emotional disorders, and this was then played in the exhibition. We offered tactile experiences such as playing a game of hopscotch and writing on a blackboard with chalk, and visitors could smell the paper and ink of old textbooks, with smell one of the strongest triggers of memories. One thing we didn't exactly count on was how many Sherbies we would need to buy to give people a taste of their school canteens. Our public programs brought intergenerational audiences together, with preschoolers meeting seniors to discuss what school could be like. And our visitor comments ranged from 1970s schoolyard games involving sticks to the important task of keeping your Tamagotchi alive during the school day. We are so proud of this exhibition and the partnerships that it helped to create. For small council-run museum and galleries like us, this recognition means so much. Thank you.
The Level 2 highly commended entry is New Woman from the Museum of Brisbane. The Level 2 winner is the State Library of New South Wales with their exhibition 8 Days in Kamei. A beautifully conceived reinterpretation and contemporary repositioning of the Cook Landing in Kamei and the subsequent impact.
In 1770, the Guigal people of Kamei discovered James Cook and the Endeavour. This exhibition explores the 8 days that followed.
My name's John Valance and I'm the New South Wales State Librarian. When I was small, my mother used to tell me that pride was a sin, Well, if she's right, then I'm a sinner. I'm incredibly proud of my colleagues for putting together 8 days in Camay, first the online, then the physical exhibition in some of the most difficult circumstances that we've faced in a century. Very proud of my colleagues, and congratulations to all of them, and thank you for honouring us with this award.
Hello, my name is Ronald Briggs. I'm a curator here at the State Library of New South Wales.
Damien Webb, Indigenous Curator and Manager of the Indigenous Engagement Branch.
And I'm Jennifer. I was the producer on the Camay project.
8 Days in Camay was a wonderful opportunity for the library to work more closely with the La Perouse Aboriginal community, particularly the elders from out that way.
It was a challenging project, but a really important story to tell and retell, and we're really thrilled that it's this project that's won the award.
As an Indigenous man myself, as a curator, it was very challenging to take on the role of working with this contested history, and I would like to thank the library and MAGNA for the award and the opportunity to really demonstrate that you can decolonise these narratives without undermining the integrity of the institution or of the collections, that we can make space in these stories for everyone.
The Level 3 highly commended entry is the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery's Julie Goff, Tense Past. The Level 3 winner is Sydney Living Museums and State Archives of New South Wales exhibition Songs of Home. The soundtracks and compositions for the exhibition were very exciting and engaging on many levels. The partnerships and collaborations, as well as deep research into the content, has created a rich exhibition experience.
Hi, I'm Matthew Stevens, the curator of the Songs of Home exhibition at the Museum of Sydney. It's such a pleasure to accept this award on behalf of Sydney Living Museums and all of those who have worked on the exhibition. It's not easy creating a soundscape from 100 or 200 years ago, and to do this we displayed almost 100 rare objects, but also created a soundtrack of 60 works, many newly recorded in our historic house museums. It involved the collaboration of dozens and dozens of people. I can't thank everybody individually, but I'd like to say a big thank you to everybody who was involved. I would like to thank Kate Spencer, our project manager, who was extraordinary, as well as all the staff and the teams at SLM who worked on the exhibition. There are 3 people I've worked with on the story of domestic music making for almost a decade now, and without them the exhibition really would have been impossible. I'd like to thank Dr. Graham Skinner, our music historian from Sydney, Professor Janice Brooks from the Sound Heritage Network at the University of Southampton, who also facilitated funding through the Arts and Humanities Research Council in the UK. And I'd like to thank Professor Neil Perez da Costa from the Historical Performance Division at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. At the core of this exhibition was the creation of new works by Indigenous composers. Thanks to the Ngara Buria First Peoples Composers Initiative and their founder Chris Sainsbury. Brenda, Tim, Troy, Elizabeth and Nadi, you made us all think about music in Australia differently through your compositions. I'd also like to thank the Royal Australian Navy Band and the ABC Classic, Concerto Caledonia in Scotland, Jane Austen's House Museum for the loan of some incredibly rare scores. It occurred to us rather terrifyingly that we actually had for 3 months more than 10% of all of Jane Austen's manuscripts here in Sydney. Thank you to Rhiannon Giddens for her articulation of the complexities of black-faced minstrelsy and a stunning addition to the soundtrack. Thank you also to Dr. Stuart Simons, Dr. Kevin Hunt, Maestro Richard Bonning, British composer Dr. Laura Bowler, and all those institutional and private lenders who made the exhibition such a rich experience. And last but not least, I'd like to thank all the musicians who worked on the exhibition. It's been an extraordinarily difficult 8 months for all of those working in the cultural sector. And I think this exhibition really shows the significance and importance of musicians in our day-to-day lives. Thank you.
The highly commended entry in Level 4 is 7 Siblings from the Future by Mod Museum. The winning Level 4 entry is the Art Gallery of South Australia's Tarnandy Festival of Contemporary Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Art 2019. Tarnandy is an extraordinary celebration of the breadth and depth of First Peoples contemporary culture. The festival and associated exhibitions and events showed exceptional cultural engagement, leadership, and professional development opportunities for established and emerging artists, while at the same time delivering community benefiting revenue opportunities. And finally, we have the overall national winner, selected from a shortlist of all the winning entries. And the winner is Tiati Wangandi Gumanga, Truth Telling Together, from the Bay Discovery Centre in South Australia. Tiati is a meaningful, thought-provoking and at times confrontational exhibition. Though it seeks to tell the story of South Australia's colonisation, it also seeks to question our modern attitudes and ideas towards Aboriginal people. This project manages to do something incredibly important: to decolonise the museum by recognising the presence and interaction of multiple voices. While this seems obvious, the approach often taken with decolonising practice is to replace one narrative with another. This project rightfully acknowledges the limitations of this. This is an incredibly sophisticated approach taken confidently. The budget was modest in size, but big in ambition and execution. There are many much larger organisations and institutions that are yet to accomplish the outcomes of this project. Tiati successfully incorporates amazing objects into the exhibition and pairs them with contemporary, highly considered and important interpretation for visitors. The project additionally embeds learning opportunities for people involved in developing this exhibition, such as cultural awareness training and Kaurna language lessons. Tiata Wangandi Kumanga is a lesson for all of us in collaboration and truth-telling, and is an incredible model we can all use in our implementation of the Indigenous Roadmap.
The English, when they first arrived to these shores, were given the instructions to follow and respect the local Aboriginal population here. And that was, I guess, stamped by and written in a letter by the King, and that letter itself is known as the letters patent.
To have on loan, you know, those documents that have never been put out there for display. So it is a big thing for us as Kaurna Aboriginal people, you know, to be recognised in conjunction of working together with the Old Fast Bay, that this award, you know, inside a museum, and then win the national one.
It was a real shock, because truth-telling is not a favourite topic.
It's about walking together, working together, talking and having an understanding, because there are good things in both cultures that need to be understood.
That trust was important, and that honesty in that, you know, because for us as Kaurna and as Aboriginal people, just getting on the table to have a position is always a risk, seen as a risk. But you know, we didn't see that. We had an opportunity, and you know, we wanted to achieve those outcomes together. To get to see these documents, to how it's displayed with, you know, the teaching of today, you know, the acknowledgement and the acceptance of yesterday, and that capacity to build that into the future. We've done it, you know. We've faced that difficult where people didn't want to face. We are now doing it together. So, you know, it enlightens, you know, a great future for our grandchildren.
Thank you to the Australian Museums and Galleries Association for recognition of this important exhibition. To receive this prestigious award is such an honour for South Australia. Tiati demonstrates the power of relationship-driven projects and takes a vital step forward on the path of reconciliation for all South Australians.
There are people that have gone before us that have tried to shape the way for some of our destinies, and they believed in the letters patent and believed in what it could do for us as a people.
Natalia! And with that, Natalia, we say, yay!
Congratulations Bay Discovery Centre, and to all the finalists in this year's Magnas. Thank you for joining us tonight for the award ceremony. AMaGA would also like to thank Elizabeth Ann McGregor again for an inspiring keynote. And thank you to our sponsor, RNet, for providing us with all the technical support we needed to achieve tonight's award ceremony.